Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there.
Hey, guys, we got turtles in circles. Turtles are running in circles. Oh, my God, it's the end of the world as we know it. Turtles are running in circles really fast.
And the number 5 one, he's up in front, and the number 2 is going to pass him. Oh, there goes number 3.
There goes Harry. He's coming up the rear. Oh, no, he's going to pass. He does.
He does. Look at that. I think there's somebody there with a food bowl, though.
Do you think so? And I think this has probably been sped up many, many times.
And it's adorable.
So, we have a couple videos in mind that we want to do just to kind of explain some things maybe a little bit more in depth and why we feel so strongly about certain things. So, again, you are what you eat. And how long have we been eating all sorts of who knows what? Who knows what? I think many of us have probably eliminated all forms of sausage out of our life at this point in time. Again, when you are eating processed foods are just that. They're part of a process. And we don't know what's in there. I mean, just to share with you guys, you realize probably that most people do consume mice and rats and bugs on a regular basis because they simply fall in at the processing plant and, they mix in with our food. But some of this stuff does not look like mice. It doesn't look like rats. It doesn't look like cockroaches. It even looks worse.
Yeah, I mean, that's just pretty nasty, but you know what? We're doing it for your own good.
And, a shout out to Keith H. I just want to shout out to him and congratulate him on getting off of some big FARMA. Please send your prayers and well wishes and positive intentions to Keith. And he's been going through the big C, and he's not giving up, and he's not letting anything darken his outlook. And we can recover from these things. We really can. When science and DRs tell you you can't do something, it's time to just get serious, buckle up, and do it, because you can. And I've shared with you my own story. I was pretty cocky late 20s young man who thought he could lift the world, and I ruptured 2 discs, squatting 500 pounds, and I don't have that big a frame. It was never a good idea. I got caught up in ego. It can happen to all of us. And my buddy was a power lifter. He was doing 700 pounds, so I should be able to handle 500 no problem. And I leaned too far forward, buckled my back, and ended up rupturing 2 discs. That caused the damage. It was actually just a simple sneeze that did the rupturing, and fire went down my leg. Well, the orthopedic surgeon said, oh, nothing you could do with that. You're going to have to, get them fused and etc. I never did. And both him and the physical therapist both told me, you're not going to lift weights. You're not going to jog, because I was always working out every single day. That was just who I was, constantly working out. But I did all those things, and they told me I couldn't, and I did. And I think I did it as much to spite them, as well as this inner sense of knowing that's always been there, because I've always been able to hear the guides even when I didn't realize that they were guides talking to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people can. It's just a matter of picking apart the information and understanding what is coming from who. And yeah, it can be a tedious process, but it's a doable process. And sometimes in life, things are given to us for spiritual growth too. And it might seem impossible, but we have put ourselves in positions, our higher self has put us in positions to grow spiritually. And sometimes that can be quite frightening. It can look scary, and you can even question the universe. Did I really ask for this? Did I really? And the answer is, on some level, yes, there is something you wanted to grow in your soul, and you put yourself in this position for pure spiritual growth. And that's the beauty of it, because we can see our growth.
And this whole journey is about growth. It is about growth. And it's about changing the understanding. And so here you have a quote that says, I am on my land, responding to somebody saying, you're on native land. And of course, we can go all through the history. But, the point is that we don't ever own any land. So my reply was, we are but travelers here on a short journey. The land is only the mother's. Do you own your mother? I mean, hello. This is part of the perception. And so again, this left-right divide that at this point in time feels that it's insurmountable, that there's no way we're ever going to get people on the same page. But we will. And it's not going to be everybody. But again, we're going to get to that point where choices have to be made, and we're going to have to go where we are led. And that comes from opening up the heart center. You got to open up your heart. You have to let go. And immediately when people try to draw you into a fight, just let it go. And sometimes, you just have to let it go. Other times, there's times when we have to state clearly why we believe what we believe, because, it's a fine line between, when do I let go of something and not pursue it anymore? And when do I really dig in a little bit and explain why you feel the way you do?
Sometimes we go through things in life and we don't really have clear-cut answers. And even that in itself is an answer. It's like, okay, here's the situation. I'm supposed to sit with this until ... until that energy has had its time to settle in my soul, until it's had its time to process. And there might be external reasons why you're being given these energies. It might be to help someone else. We just don't know. So finding that level of acceptance is really helpful too.
And again, our perspectives are formed by everything that we're indoctrinated with as we grow up. And if we won't face our indoctrinations and learn to grow past them, we're doomed to basically repeat the mistakes of our forefathers.
Indeed.
And this is the cycle. So, his perspective, I know, because he's always quoting the Bible, and he's always, throwing out different Bible verses, or, et cetera, et cetera. So he'll go and take Genesis 1:26, which says, and then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and all over the earth, and every other creeping thing that creeps on the earth. And there's a couple other quotes here. Genesis 1:28, and God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea. Again, have dominion. You have given him dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet. People that have been so indoctrinated that they can't see that there's anything wrong here are deeply entrenched in a system. And this is all part of the system. This is the controller's language. Because you will find that if you go to the indigenous tribes all over the globe, they will not view things in that way. Not at all. Not that humanity was given dominion over, and that all these things are subservient to humanity, and humanity can choose to do whatever it wants with it. No, that is a totally different perspective than what the indigenous people of this planet, tucked away in little tribes, whether they're in South America, North America, Africa, Asia, even some people living in harmony in Europe, which has been the cradle of civilization for hundreds of years, quote unquote. Civilization. We could just tear that apart too if we want to. How civilized is it really? I mean, what is civil about civilization?
And who are the savages, really?
Yes, absolutely. When we look to nature and, look at just how nature enjoys being. we could look to our pets. And yeah, we could say cats are weird. But they're playing. They're having fun. Sure, there's times they can get cranky. Like he's doing his downward dog there. Oh, it's a Saturday and I just don't want to get up. But I'm going to do my dog yoga right now. Downward facing dog. Oh, hi. Animals couldn't get along without us? No. And do they enjoy their existence? Do they love the natural world? Look at how they play in their bodies. Like, this is fun. I'm in here. Wow, it feels cold. Wow, I got a foot. Wow, this snow is great. I'm going to make snow bear angels.
And he's just going to enjoy every minute of it and be in the moment and taste his foot, feel his ears. This is just so much fun.
It is. And that's the point. Animals have fun. And they're curious. And they want to just love. They just want to love and be. And always sure, there's lions that are going to catch their prey, and there are animals that hunt other animals. And in many ways, again, we might not understand the whole perspective of things. We might view it as evil, when a lion, catches a wildebeest or something like that. Or you could simply view it as the nature of things. But again, we are all on this planet having a journey, and we are all souls. We are consciousness itself. Consciousness in many different forms of existence. It sounds like we have a Wookiee in the back, but no, it's not a Wookiee. It's only Sita, I think. As you see this little guy, look at the bliss. Are humans supposed to be just utilizing everything for their own benefit? No, we're cohabitating. We're sharing. We don't own anything. Again, do you own your mother? How could you possibly own any of this planet? And then again, we have the groups like the WEF stating you will own nothing and you will be happy. And they're giving us a truth with a distortion because, their intention is to own everything and you to have nothing. But the reality is you will have perfect bliss and happiness, and it is possible to do that without owning anything. And perhaps it's only possible without owning anything. How many times do we, have a house and then we want a bigger house, have a car, we want a better car. Yeah, every time we get something materially, we always want something better. It's kind of a natural inclination in this 3D realm, but we need to change our perspective on things. We can learn so much from the creatures that are all around us. This system, this mindset of dominion is very much like a cancer in the body. And what is a cancer? It's an abnormal cell that basically starts to multiply and eventually can destroy the host. It can destroy its complete universe. So in effect, in some ways you could view it as it's a suicidal cell. It's a cell of self-destruction. And that is the system that's in place on this planet. It's a suicidal system of self-destruction, constantly killing itself. All we need to do is to look to nature again. How these birds just automatically work together. I don't care that, this one bird is in the lead. He knows what he's doing. I trust. And if something happens and, somebody needs to replace them, they will replace them and they'll take the lead. Or maybe I don't want to be with these 10 birds anymore. I like the feeling of those other birds that went by, so I'm going to go join them. Look to how fish school in nature, how they swim as one. They swim as one. I've been blessed enough to be in a position like this, and it's amazing the feeling of the oneness. It's incredible. And we look to how ants work together. They do amazing things. They really do. They work completely as one. And sure, you could find some sort of fault in all the systems of nature. We could look at it as a hierarchical society where the queen bee does rule over the worker bees and they're just worker bees. but they do work for the benefit of the whole, and they do understand that.
And they are receiving information from a source that is far greater than they are. It understands a lot more than they do, but they submit to that source of energy. They succumb to this information that they are receiving because they have that trust that it's for some greater good. I might not see it right now in front of me, but I'm going to do it.
Take a cancer cell, so a cancer cell multiplies, and then it keeps multiplying. It could keep destroying and gobbling up its environment, but at some time, it's going to find that there's nothing but death there. There's no more opportunity for growth. It's the same thing with many people upon this planet waking up. There's no more opportunity for growth. All we got to do is look at this holographic matrix that we are in. So yeah, we are living in a projection within the mind of God, so to speak, but we are part of that God. We are part of that being. And, it's so funny when I'll watch some of the comments and somebody said mysticism and going within leads to nothing but inflated ego and going away from God. And it's like, how can you say that? And I said, basically, put down the Twinkies, back away from the big FARMA. You got to do the work. You have to go within. And really, okay, so what you're really saying is the only way to know God, if you make that type of statement, is to accept what somebody else's view is. Because you haven't really discovered your own view. You're just going to go take whatever is written down by somebody else or some other group, and you're going to believe in that and choose to believe in it. And really, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you discover for yourself? Are you content to just look at what others have discovered and done? Or don't you want to do for yourself? Don't you want to find out for yourself? The only path is within. Any path without is a path that's taken by somebody else, another perspective that's not being viewed through both your physical eyes and hopefully, if it's awakened, your third eye. And in reality, we don't have to physically go anywhere to explore all that there is. Once we develop the pineal gland, the entire multiverse is there for us before our very eye.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't need this technology that they're talking about. We never have. Never have. In the past, we have been more of the mind to know that we can go there. We can astral travel. We have all of these abilities. And over time, it's been lost and it's been covered up so the controllers can take over and say, here, use what we have. Don't listen to your own inner self. Use what we have to go to the places that you want to go to and listen to the things that we want you to listen to.
Yeah, it's and some individuals, it's just simply laziness and not wanting to do the work themselves. It's not being willing to clean up their own temple, and that's okay because they're just going to have a long journey and work through a lot of lives that are very similar to this one and very similar control matrices. So if that's what the soul truly wants, then that's what it will get, because each one of us is a unique aspect of Source itself. And again, that fractal nature, we could look to the Fibonacci sequence, we could look to pi, we could look to just how it is so true that as within, so without. You look at galaxies, you look at the synapses in the brain, you look at mushroom, mycelium, you look at the Nile and Egypt. I mean, is it not obvious? You look at the internet itself even, which is again an artificial construct of a natural thing. Because again, we are all connected to a much higher internet. And when we are out of the dark age, we have no need for that type of technology because everyone is telepathic and we could just communicate with our thoughts.
It's all within us already now.
It is. And so we're in the mind of God and you can see the eye of God per se. But then again, God is right within you and right within me. And ultimately, this is the biggest this is the biggest mystery there is. This is the only mystery to comprehend. We are all one. Only ego's beliefs and fears separate us. And it's through those fears, again, don't you want to go to heaven? Aren't you afraid of hell? Yeah, that's the controllers. That's the controllers. Because again, you're creating your own reality. So they seed they sow the seeds of hell in the minds of those that will accept it.
And a lot of trauma really goes into that, and it's a serious thing. But we are here to work with each other through it together.
And we could think of things in the terms of the Big Bang, what's the Big Bang? Maybe it's just simply cellular mitosis. It's just one cell exploding into multiple cells, becoming another brand new organism from the previous thought, the construct. Again, in the Sanatana Dharma, we find that all is Brahman, with an N, not Brahma as in the conceptualized creator God, but Brahman as in the universal reality. So Chit is consciousness, Ananda is joy, and one of our beloved guides that's working very closely with us, especially like the last year or so, and even more recently, even closer, is Ananda Mayima. And she was a beautiful divine representation of that mother energy.
Indeed, she is.
Yes, and still is, because these beings are still working with us. They love us, and that love is just overwhelming. And you might find that love in a building somewhere. You don't have to. You could find it out in nature. You could find it in your backyard. You could find it anywhere you are at any time. It could be in the middle of Manhattan if you just still your mind and go within, because that's all you ever need to do. And there are stages to the unraveling of our consciousness and the awakening of our consciousness. And Ananda is really the word that I think best envelops the energy that we encounter when we are around these guides, which they're always there. It's really when we choose to focus on them, when we choose to draw in their energy. It's bliss. It's bliss. And, there's no way any dark demonic energy can give off that type of frequency. It's just an impossibility.
It is. It's true. I mean, it's something that you feel, and it's not something that can be faked or alter itself in any way. It's like you have to listen to your body. You feel it. It's not, you don't make up your mind. You feel it.
Yeah. And again, this controller-based system that we have ourselves in, this matrix, this dark matrix, it's all about understanding. They understand the human condition. They give us the parameters to keep us always either so busy that we're just simply running on that hamster wheel to nowhere, always occupied with paying the bills and trying to do the mundane things in life where we can't really take the time to just go within. Imagine if, again, you didn't have to work 40 or 50 hours or more at a job. And I know, because I spent, 10 years working 60 hours a week, 10-hour days for one company. And, truly, if I have a nightmare, I'm back at that job. That's my nightmares, is being back in the system. And in particular, in that particular locale where I was a young man. And, again, I was wrapped up in just all the usual. Get a house, got to get yourself established, all that. And when I did achieve the house, something that my parents never had their own house, but again, we never really owned anything in the first place, and that's the point. I found that it was empty. I found that there was something lacking. And so, the next stage would have been to try to get a promotion and get a bigger house. And I turned down a promotion. And, that was the beginning of my awakening. And again, this comes in different stages for different people. Each one of us is unique. But this is what put me on that path to truly self-realization and knowing who you are. And most of us don't know who we are. when you know who you are, you know why you came. And then you do know the purpose for your life. And that's the biggest blessing you can have.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody needs to find their why. And many times in life, we are faced with certain situations that we do want answers to. And we want those answers and we want them now, or we want someone to give those answers to us. But we find out at some point that only those answers can be found within. And to do that, you have to do exactly that. Sit and quiet your mind and go within and find those answers. Learn to listen to that still small voice. Learn to listen and figure out, okay, where is this energy coming from? Is it coming from a traumatized part of me? Is this energy something that I need to heal so I have a better direct connection with? Or is this energy a little traumatized because I'm supposed to head in a different direction? All of these answers cannot be given to you, but they can be found within.
And again, many times the ego will grab hold of us. And we were brought up a certain way, and we might be brought up feeling proud of being brought up a certain way, regardless of what that way truly was. They understand. They control through the ego. They control through everything that is enveloping us in this system, keeping us in this system, keeping us separate from each other, having us view everything as everything else and us, and not as a whole. Again, what good is it if the cells in a body are viewing each other as in an antagonistic point of view? That's going to lead to the death of the whole and the death of the body. And this is exactly, truly what they have intended. If you ever look at the system and say the system feels like it's anti-life, yes, it is. Because again, ultimately, it is artificial. It's not the original creative intention of both the creator of this universe and the source of all. Things originally were intended to go down a different line, but there is free will. And without free will, we would not have all these possibilities. So there is free will. There's not predestination in the sense that nothing that you do can change any sort of outcome. No. The timelines are constantly morphing and changing in front of us. And it's an impossibility to set any of those timelines in stone. And that's the whole point of the experience.
Yes, how you have that experience and that journey is up to you.
So whenever you chant the Moola mantra, even without knowing the meaning of it, it still carries power. And when you chant it knowing the meaning, then your heart, in your heart, feeling that energy, then the energy will flow 1,000,000 times more powerful. Again, English, you have to recognize we got to this point through a series of events in which the controllers have been continually solidifying and controlling more of the narrative. That's coming to a peak, and then it crumbles. And it will crumble. They know it's going to crumble. They just want to entice as many as possible to come along on their ride with them. But again, if you can feel the oneness, if you could sense the oneness, if you could understand that there's something so inherently wrong with this system, then you don't have to take that ride with them. It's your choice if you do take that ride with them. And that ride might last lifetimes, or what we perceive as lifetimes. Om Sat Chit Ananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Sameta Shri Bhagavate Namaha. So this is a mantra in Sanskrit, and whenever I say mantras, I truly am always thinking in Sanskrit. This is the most ancient language we have, and it harkens back to other ages. This is bringing us energies of the Golden Age and the better portion of the Silver Age still to us. So this is something that is of a higher vibrational frequency than the English language or any of the other languages that we have on the planet right now. Truly, it's the highest vibe that we have that we know of. There could be one out there that's still untranslated that might even be higher. But when we look to that question, the eternal question, who am I? I remember as a 5-year-old kid thinking this, and that's when I had the realization, I'm not the body. I know I'm not the body. I mean, I had an out-of-body experience. I was looking down at my body and saying, wait a minute, that's my body. But why am I looking at myself? This is weird.
And many times we can simply take that information and look back on it and understand it again as an adult.
Yeah, and at that point in that life, that wasn't a realization I had because of things I had done from being born to age 5. No, that was past life coming through because of all the other past lives I've had where I've done that work. And many of you have done the work too. You just haven't been able to clear necessarily the energies of the controllers in this life, but you can.
It's about remembering.
So who am I? I am pure awareness. This awareness is by its very nature being consciousness bliss. Being consciousness bliss. Sat Chit Ananda.
Something very, very beautiful, something to meditate on. Another something simple that you can do if you don't want to get into the Sanskrit, you don't feel like you have time, if you think you're not saying it right, you can really just sit and say Om, and that's going to raise your frequency. Just listening to your own voice brings your healing. Your voice has a centering signature energy to it and can raise your vibration. And that's why a lot of people ask, well, should I do the mantras out loud? Yes, you should. You don't have to, but you should, because hearing your own voice brings you healing.
And just the resonance, the vibrations that are created will go through your body. You could literally even just hum, and that would work. So, if you were unable to speak, like if I was unable to speak at this moment and didn't even have a tongue, but could still put the hum to the frequency of my mantras, I would still feel my Kundalini awakening. I would still feel every chakra opening. I would feel that crown connection to the higher densities and the bliss that comes. And it truly is bliss, because again, we are ultimately one consciousness that is exploring all of creation. So source, the true source behind everything that we see and everything that's unseen. And we could think of this in many different ways with many different labels. And again, Brahman with the N is giving us a representation of all that there is. And then we could view it through a dualistic lens, but there truly is really ultimately no duality. And that's a big point of debate between many scholars and students of the Sanatana Dharma even. There are many that believe in a dualistic viewpoint and others in a non-dualistic viewpoint. But ultimately, there is the one, and there is a unity behind all things. So to go back to like what we were talking about, and the thought that I am on my land, you're on native land. Well, we've shown the maps, and if we look to the maps of Europe, go back 100 years, every 100 years, you'll find that they're always changing. They're always changing. So again. We ourselves are always changing. We're always inhabiting new bodies, new vehicles. So, just to share from you guys, and I have shared in the past, like I do know that, right now, hey, I was born in the USA. Last life, I was born in Russia. And I had many lives in Tibet and Nepal. I've had lives in China. I've had lives also here back in the U.S., in New Mexico and Colorado. And, so recognizing this, recognizing that, I've been a child, a being that's lived under many different regimes, many different quote unquote nations and boundaries. No, I'm not a child of any nation. I shouldn't automatically feel a patriotism towards any sort of political structure, because these political structures are part of the dark system of control that divides us in the first place.
And they're going to tell us what they need to tell us to keep us under control.
Absolutely. So, again, do you own your mother? Of course not. Of course not. And again, we are but travelers here having an experience. So as always, guys, I hope that you got something out of this. Please share your thoughts, your questions, your comments, topics for new videos. Make sure you're subscribed to both Evolutionary and also on EEARTS, and I'll put the link over here. This is the Moola mantra. This one most definitely can change perception. It can also bring bliss, absolutely bring connection to your higher self and source. May you guys always be blessed by the creator of this universe, and may your connection with source grow every day. Much love. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.